I was gonna change my shoes and then I didn't. Fun jokes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Abby. Before we get started, it's very important to know the difference between a tricycle gear plane and a tailwheel plane. So I'm training in a tailwheel to get my tailwheel rating endorsement, and what this means is it's kind of just an additional little thing that I can add onto my private pilot license. But the big difference between a tailwheel and a tricycle gear plane is that the tailwheel is a lot more wobbly and harder to control. You can also see the other differences on this page, so you can pause it if you want. And here's another picture to show the difference between the two. So the biggest difference, I guess to make it more simple, the biggest difference is that tailwheel is more wobbly at the center of gravity. So where the center of gravity is located on the plane between a tricycle gear and a tailwheel is what makes the biggest difference. A tailwheel will have a wheel on the tail, hence the name. A tricycle gear looks like a tricycle, and just like a tricycle, it's a lot safer to fly. They're a lot more stable, just like a tricycle is safer for a kid to ride versus a bike. Let's get started. Wait, just one more disclaimer. I forgot I had this footage, so it is from January. Enjoy. Happy first day of 2019. It is the first day. It is Tuesday? I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. So, it's Tuesday. It is the first day of January, and I went to a party last night, and I got home at 7 a.m. And normally New Year's Day I don't really do much, or at least I don't think I do much. But my CFI, my old flying instructor from when I got my private pilot, he texted me and he was saying, hey, tomorrow's gonna be a really nice day. Do you want to go flying? And my Piper Cub, we refurbished, like he was working on it over the summer while he was helping train me. So it's new paint job, new everything, and it's beautiful. And if y'all don't know, I said before my other video, you don't say no when someone asks you to go flying their helicopter. You don't say no when it's like babysitting someone's dogs or something. And you don't say no when they ask you to fly their Piper Cub. Kind of doing it as a free gift for me for passing my check ride. And y'all know I told you in December I didn't fly because I spent the money on the tail caps, and I made a video on that. That's gonna be linked somewhere there or somewhere. So I didn't really fly in December, and I was kind of worried about it, and I wasn't sure money-wise, but I was like, I mean, your skills do deteriorate after a while, but I didn't fly in December, so it's really, really nice of him to offer to fly with me because he don't even know how good I am anymore, man. I don't even know how good I am anymore. I liked my landings last time we went, but I felt like my finer tuned motor skills and my scan was off for the instruments, because those are things that do fade away with time if you're not flying. And by scan I mean you're more clunky flying, you're just not as smooth, basically. Yeah, so I sound like a croak. We're gonna go see how this goes. I think that's all I have.
At kind of an angle.
But can you see the ground in front of you at all?
Yeah,
okay.
A little bit.
So here's the thing about taking off in a tailwheel versus a normal plane. It does this thing called the takeoff roll, and it wants to fly. Like, it's super easy to get airborne in the air, even though this is a picture of my CFI taking off and not me. But the takeoff roll is kind of weird to do. So what I mean by that is I slowed down this video so you can see, but if you notice right there, he goes up to a 2-point position. He lifts the tail up, and then you take off from that attitude. So it's kind of like a 3-part takeoff. Slow down the video even more, and I'm replaying it again so that you can see how it starts out on 3 points, and then it goes to a 2-point attitude, and then from there it goes into the third part of the takeoff, which is actually being airborne. And that takeoff roll, that liftoff, is what kind of took me a while to learn. Don't misunderstand. This thing wants to fly. It will take off without you. I should probably apologize to my instructor. Sorry, Steve. But this thing will fly without you. Like, it's like, bye, losers. Like, you landlubbers. And let's be honest, Steve already knew I didn't know what I was doing. But the hardest part for me was going from the 3-point to the 2-point to taking off. I kept wanting to go just from 3 points to straight taking off. But you have to lift off the tail wheel to do a proper takeoff. That being said, taking off wasn't too bad once Steve kind of ironed out that mistake in me, and once he told me that I had to get the tail off, and I overcame my fear, because it does feel a little bit weird. You're in a very level attitude and it almost feels like you're going to drive the prop and the nose of the plane into the ground. But once I got taking off figured out, landing is a whole nother story. Landing is all about the sight picture. In a Piper or in any tailwheel, your sight is kind of bad in tailwheels. The nose is very much in your face all the time. It's not like the view that you get on a regular plane when you're flying a tricycle gear plane. Your forwards view is restricted. You don't know if you're landing on a cow, you don't know if you're landing on something, and you can tell that because I put the GoPro here and I'm thankful I did, and you can kind of see how I can see off the side of the nose, but I can't really see over the front, and the GoPro can actually see even better than I can. When you're on the ground, this is what my view looked like, but even worse, when I'm on the ground, I can see the tops of trees, but I can't see anything over that nose. I can see to the side, and that's why when you're taxiing, you kind of do this swerving motion. You go left and right to make sure you're not running over anything. So that is one of the biggest differences I noticed that was really hard for me with the tailwheel. It was just the fact that the plane is so low visibility, and when I can't see things, I kind of freak out because I rely on my sight a lot. I mean, I don't have anywhere near 20/20 vision. But here I'm kind of craning my neck and you can see a little bit. I can't see over the top. So everything just changes because you're not used to the normal sight picture that you get in a tricycle gear. I've heard that bush flying revolves a lot around this sight picture, and I definitely got the sight picture from tricycle gear, but now switching to tailwheel, all of it is messed up again. And me and Steve were kind of joking about that. In aviation, you kind of get something down and you feel comfortable with it, and then it all changes. But I was getting the hang of this after I think we did about 10 landings, and this was one of my later landings. I'm kind of drifting all over, you can see. And then you can see I'm bouncing here a lot. And that's Mount Hood off to the right, actually. But I was starting to feel a lot more comfortable with it. A massive help was Steve, because depending on what the outside looked like, Steve would be telling me, okay, pull back on the yoke now, you see the tops of the building, so he was kind of helping me connect the outside to the inside, if that makes sense.
He's going to the bathroom now. And the landings aren't so bad. So I was here back when I was training as a... Oh, that's so pretty. Walking by the mountain. I was here as a student pilot, and we would always fill up there because there's grass runway, and then the gas is super cheap here, so...
Now, I've talked about taking off, I've talked about landing. There's not really much to talk about in flight. Cruise, this thing cruises at a pretty mean, fast, lean, green machine. 70 knots, which translating that into miles per hour for a car, it's roughly around the same, 70 to 80. So it's not very fast in the air. But what it lacks in speed, it makes up for in fun. As cheesy as I sound like a commercial for AOPA right now, it's really fun to fly. It's really enjoyable to fly. You can tell from these videos, we're just chilling, we're hanging out, we're cruising. I definitely wasn't sure how much I would enjoy it because I've been in open cockpit before, but I wasn't sure how much I would like flying this just because it's slower and I do like flying faster things and riding in faster things. But it was so fun to fly. I mean, you can tell we just had so much fun, and you're able to see a lot more of the countryside because you are going slower. I don't remember what I was pointing at, but I think we were looking at not a waterfall. I think it was a forest, or he was talking about elk or something, and the sun, just that whole entire day was perfect. It was January, but it was a perfect day to fly. Nobody else was flying except us.
Yeah, my instructor is pre-flighting. I know.
Another thing that I noticed about this January flight is I kind of need to do a warm-up session, so it might take me around 30 minutes, but once I'm warmed up, I feel really confident, and after doing progressively something repetitive, doing landings over and over again, that also helped to boost my confidence. And then the second thing that I noticed was that it's really about attitude. I'm not talking about the position of the plane this time, I'm actually talking about mental attitude. So even though I was operating off of about, I think it was maybe 3 hours of sleep if I'm lucky, I hadn't flown for 2 months, my attitude was I really wanted to fly. I was looking forward to it. I was super excited about it, and so my attitude went a really long way. And I realized that the times where I'm scared are the times where the whole entire flight I'm just thinking like, oh, I'm not flying good enough. I'm just not good enough, as good as I should be. Those are the flights that I
don't progress as much. It's kind of ironic. It's kind of like this cycle where I think I'm bad and then I am bad. And then the fights where I'm having more fun, ironically enough, and I'm really enjoying it and trying my best are the fights that generally turn out really well. The last thing I noticed, and the thing I'm still working on, is that I don't pull the yoke back far enough. I'm supposed to have it back all the way into my stomach, and Steve kept telling me that, but I was too scared to pull it back because I thought we would balloon and bounce around a lot on landing. But what I noticed the one time he forced me to do it, he kind of did it with me, was that the plane actually settled down onto the runway like he kept telling me it would. So I just need to get over that fear and actually pull the yoke back all the way.
Then the last thing you do is turn the mags off.
Oh, the last thing?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever flying an airplane and you pulled a mixture, and this is one of them, when you pulled a mixture and the engine doesn't cut off, then just add a little bit of power. All right, I'll open the door and let you help me push this thing back.